Good morning. I'm excited to be here. That was a really inspiring way to open the day. I was really impressed with Michael's opening and also really inspired. So just a little bit about me. My name's Stacy Huggins. I co-founded a blockchain enterprise consultancy called NIO. Before that, I co-founded a company called MadHive. We launched the Mad token. We had a very successful ICO. So I have been through that entire process. I do know quite a bit about, and that was in the ad tech space, actually. So creating a decentralized ad server, designing a decentralized protocol to manage reconciliation and payments in ad tech. I have 18 years experience in ad tech, and I do feel like there's a lot of opportunity in media and advertising, and there's also a lot of deep layers of obstruction. And many of those issues come from Google and Facebook and the way that the internet is really set up in all the different layers. And it's the middlemen in ad tech in particular are taking probably 40 cents on every dollar in terms of the overall supply chain. And blockchain is a great way to disrupt that. There's also some real issues in content management and the way that you create content and make it a real commodity. So I think that this panel, I'm going to focus mostly on the opportunities, the challenges, and then also because I have completed a successful ICO, I have thoughts, opinions, and I'm curious as to what the panel thinks about investment opportunities, the structure of ICOs, and how to, make this really palatable for investors, because I think there's still a lot of fear and, as Michael said, a lot of uncertainty and lack of clarity. So a little bit about NIO. Again, we're a blockchain enterprise consultancy. We build actual token layers and build the blockchain protocol, as well as consult on various projects. We have some amazing projects that we're working on today. So if you have any questions, you can also ask me about that. So why don't we get started? And we will introduce everybody. So if you could just tell us who you are, tell us about your company, let us know a little bit about what you do.
Hello, everybody. My name is Raymond Milan. I am the CEO of Wink, which is a dating app that just released on beta on the iOS market and along with Android as well. About myself, I am a former professional gamer turned iOS developer, and I'm a YouTuber as well. I'm a personality with my business partner who is here as well, Lamont Joyner, and together we've garnered about 100 million views together and on our channel, so that is me in a nutshell.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Koyen. I run 360 Blockchain Inc. We are a public company in Canada. We trade on the CSE under code, and we invest exclusively in early opportunities in blockchain space.
Good morning, I'm Heng Him. Try to pronounce that really fast. So I've been in the infrastructure industry for over 20 years now. My company is going to be developing fast lanes. And it's hard to explain, but easy to get. Imagine everybody being able to access high quality internet anytime you need it. And that's what I'm developing. I'm the co-founder. I've been doing this for, like I said, 20 years, and there's nothing out there like this.
Hello everyone, I'm Pavel, and I'm the CEO and founder of Kuende, which is a hybrid online-offline social network. And we are challenging our users to engage more in real life than they do online. We already have the product launched for like 3 years ago, and this ICO and blockchain phenomenon gave us the possibility to actually engage more with our users and make them count in our community.
Good morning, everyone. Normally, I don't need a microphone because I scream, so I'll try to speak quietly. My name is Giacomo Tognoni. I'm the CEO of Bethereum, and we are running a blockchain-powered social betting platform and protocol. I thought it would be very interesting to join the marketing panel, as most of my life has been actually in corporate marketing enterprises. I used to be a board member in telco until I decided that I was bored and wanted to do something exciting. I'll regret that decision forever. I went from a really stable, easy job to working 17 hours per day, but it's really exciting. And I jumped on the blockchain and crypto space only a few months ago, but I've not had any regrets whatsoever. Oh, by the way, love gaming, so I'll be talking to you for sure. I had a mobile gaming startup for 3 years.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. So actually, since there's a lot of talent in gamification, maybe we can start there. I know game theory and mechanism design plays a really big role in token platforms. I feel the big beauty of tokenization is that you can actually change user behavior by giving proper incentives and realigning misaligned incentives overall. So Pavel, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Kuende, the gamification structure, a little bit about how the token works, so we can start there.
Sure, thank you. So first, what is Kuende? Because Kuende comes from Swahili, which is a boy name actually, and it means evolution and growth. And that's what Kuende is and want to do. Regarding the gamification structures, so what we are trying to do is imagine, let's say, Facebook combined with Instagram and YouTube, met with Pokemon Go and Meetup.com and made a child, and that child name is Kuende. And in a nutshell, yeah. So we want to, with gamified challenges, we want to, let's say, encourage our users to spend more time in the real world than they do online, because we understood that given the fact that technology is evolving as a very fast pace, teenagers, the teenagers are stuck with their phones in their face every day, and we want to change that. And how we are doing that is regarding the token structure as well. We have two tokens actually. One is the Kuende token that is issued during the ICO, and it gives you the right to create and vote for challenges within the platform. And depending on the hype and how, let's say, successful that challenge becomes, we have the other token, the Kuende points, which is the reward token, and is split with the creator, the voters, and the participants. So if I can give an example for.
No.
From a business perspective as well, imagine a travel agency that challenge their users to make a photo at the Colosseum, for example, and then to check in a certain restaurant, and then to book in a certain hotel. And when they send the proof that they done that, they get rewarded with tokens. And another example is the community stuff, where imagine the largest picnic in the city, where we have the power to tell our users to go in certain location, and we target users with the same, let's say, interests and passions. So imagine an ocean full of picnic baskets with hundreds of people enjoying themselves and sharing more than just a sandwich. So we designed the AR challenges as a treasure hunt, if we can say that, in which we integrate the benefit of the advertising, the benefit of a company in the user's journey. So, for example, a user must find free keys in the city, and on his way to certain locations, he see a discount to Nike, a free Coca-Cola, a ticket to a movie, and he just gets the benefits, not the commercial, not the advertising.
So will the advertising revenue almost serve as like the central bank that supports the overall value of the currency over time?
Yeah.
Because that's actually something that I've seen as a really interesting model, because eventually it can't rely on speculation. So there needs to be sort of a role of a central bank in some of these ecosystems that support the overall long-term value of the token. So that's a really interesting model. It's very cool. And for those of you who didn't hear him, so AR challenge means the augmented reality challenge.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure you caught that. So that's like Pokemon Go, where you have an app and it tells you to go find imaginary things, which led people to be like walking into telephone poles. So it's got some kinks, but interesting concept.
The whole blockchain phenomenon gave us the opportunity to involve our users into creating challenges because we knew that we weren't capable to think of all the challenges in the world. So this was the opportunity to give them control and power and ownership to their content, right? And also our users for the last 2 years were earning some points because they were doing online challenges, but with no real value. So this was a no-brainer for us to make that token points something with real value.
Okay. And so how far are you in the process? When is your ICO? How far along is the product? I'm just curious.
Okay. I'll try to be fast. We started 3 years ago. We managed to raise around 2.6 million so far as a VC traditional way. We then made the mobile apps for iOS, Android, and web as well. We have around 60,000 users, but we haven't marketed 1 cent. And we launched the ICO in April last month. The private round is still going until the end of May. And in July, we will start the public round. We raised around 5 million so far.
Okay. So you're doing token generation with a product already.
Correct.
That's an interesting model as well. I actually think for investors also understanding that there's an actual real product and not just an idea on the back of an envelope, I think is really interesting. Do you want to talk about gamification at all in terms of tokenization, blockchain, innovations that you see?
Okay, I mean, so for me, what my app is and what the company is, Wink, it's a dating app, and not only would it be the first on the blockchain in real time, but it'd be the first on the market in general in real time. And what I mean by that is, as some of us might not be into dating apps or beyond them or anything along those lines, when we get on Tinder or Match.com or OkCupid or anything along these lines, they're not real time. And what I mean by that is, we'll be at home, we'll be in the comfort of our home, looking at other users, seeing if they match our interests, our preferences, age and such on, but we're still in the comfort of our own home. How many times have we been out where I guarantee every single person in this room could relate to the fact that we've missed an opportunity? For guys, I mean, I am a man, so I'll speak on behalf of us when we might see someone that we might be interested in, but we definitely don't want to get shut down in front of all our friends or anything along those lines, and we don't make the approach. And having older sisters and women that I know, oftentimes it's not so much of that because you guys would never get rejected, but more so you don't want to be the one to get up, go across the room, make that first move. So you're like, well, if he's interested, he'll end up doing it. But again, you don't know that he's scared out of his mind to do so. So that leaves us with a missed opportunity. And while Tinder and Hinge and OkCupid and all those are great opportunities to do something from your home, again, how many times are we out where we don't take that shot and that opportunity? So what Wink is an app that works in strict geolocation and real time. And while it does have gamification and it would be using the tokens as well to use the actual app, it's something that we take advantage of and would be the only thing that we would be able to use on the market to take advantage of something in the moment. Because it's worked on such a strict geolocation as well, it can work in places that other apps like Tinder or OkCupid or anything along those lines can't work. Because we focus on such, like for instance, we'll focus on this room or this immediate radius. So if we were at the US Open, it'd be that immediate, intimate radius. So because of these things, we can use Bluetooth. And because of Bluetooth, along with the internet capability, we don't need solely to have internet capability. So on the train, on a cruise, on the moon, wherever you think of where you would need internet that you don't get it, you can still use Wink and you can still get it to work. So that's along the lines of there. But to answer your question, sorry about that, in terms of gamification, I think it's paramount that I myself, again, I am a professional gamer, so you need to incentivize the user without even making them realize that you're choosing to do so by having them have a quest. So for dating, it's not necessarily applicable. We care about our love life, and that's our quest to meet someone that we care about. But for anything along these apps with these gentlemen, it is very much applicable because you want the user to continue to feel like there's a point for him to be on your service. So I think that's exactly what you're doing very well with the augmented reality. Okay.
Oh, so you want me to go over there?
Say something about gamification?
Yeah, please, jump in.
So yeah, I just wanted to say something about gamification as well because it's quite important for the platform. In fact, there is even a section of the white paper that is called the gamification advantage. I said before that we are creating a betting platform. And betting has been around for thousands of years, and it used to be a fun and social activity, but it became really almost a science. You go to online betting sites, I don't understand the numbers, and it's a very mercenary activity. You're betting, to get the adrenaline, but also to get some money back. So in the application that we are developing, we're bringing a lot of elements, especially from mobile gaming. I'm talking about leaderboards, I'm talking about achievements and badges that you can get for winning bets or whatever it is. Social elements like global and private chats, points, competitions, alliances, and this is completely missing from the betting world. And these are the kind of things that can create really strong player retention and really strong social engagement. And just to give you a practical example of how we use that for our token sale. We created a bounty which was fully automated, giving points for social activities, and we put on top of that leaderboards and competitions and events. And we launched it silently. We just wanted to check for bugs. And we have the world record on Telegram community increases within 48 hours. We got more than 50,000 users on Telegram just because of these social elements and gaming elements. Basically, users started to forget they were getting, $10 in tokens for doing the activities, but they started to look at stuff like, I am number 74 on the leaderboard. If I push a little bit more, I will get higher. So this mobile gaming and this gamification element is something that can really, really help all kinds of applications to turn something which is otherwise mercenary into a game.
Hey, did you have something you wanted to mention? It is hot.
So everybody's talking about gamification, and what's involved in that is internet. And a lot of times, if you play a video game, if you're doing anything on the internet, there's latency issues. Talk to any gamers, they get really upset when they lag out, right? So what my platform is aiming to do is guarantee that latency. Not reduce it, because you can't reduce latency ever. But what I can do is guarantee you get 20 milliseconds, 40 milliseconds. How great would that be? So not just on any platform, we can do it on phones. We can do it on computers, on any platform, and that's what I'm aiming to do. And I'm trying to hit PlayStation, Xbox Live, Microsoft Skype, and so forth. Basically, you have a widget. You can look at it. It shows you, hey, you're red. Your game's going to suck. Your video call is going to suck. If you, even your app, right, could benefit from that. So, because what happens is when you get 500 million people onto a link, you can't control that. Internet is best effort, at best. So if you're driving down one of these freeways, you know how congested it can be. Internet's 10 times worse. So what I'm aiming to do is create a fast lane that will get you there faster. It doesn't increase the speed limit, but it guarantees you travel 65 miles an hour the whole time. So that's how I from my perspective, how it affects gaming and how that platform's going to improve.
Great. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. This doesn't work. Apparently, it doesn't work. Okay. So let's talk about in mass media, data as a commodity, right? So how many of your models are using consumer data? What are your thoughts? I also want to find out from the panel, what are your thoughts on the user being in control of their data and having, do you know of any interesting blockchain-related models that keep the user in control? I have my own opinions on that because I actually don't, I don't believe that the consumers really care, especially in the US. I mean, maybe in the EU they do. I don't believe that consumers care about their data as much. And so therefore, I think that the models that work best around data as a commodity would definitely be more a B2B play. But I'm curious as to if anybody has any strong opinions, thoughts on that topic. Jump in.
Sure. I tend to agree. I actually don't think the average person cares a whole lot about the stewardship of their data. Something goes wrong, people go up in arms, and this is a general public issue. People in this room may be more sensitive to it. Certain communities are going to be more sensitive to it. Culturally, Germany led the way, I think, on the act, and that's a cultural issue in terms of being protective of their citizens' privacy. I don't think we have that, and I don't think the average person does care about that. And I think that ties into something we talked about a little bit before, that sort of the arrival of blockchain as a mass media product doesn't need the mass media's acceptance of blockchain to become that. It's going to be a back-end engine. It's the TCP packet, and nobody knows what that is. Even if you're around in '92, you didn't really know what it was. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I do think that we will see new models of data stewardship happen, but it might be sort of in spite of itself. It's the shiny object, it's the killer app that's going to get people to adapt it and use it. And when my older sister or mom uses it, she doesn't care that it's blockchain, and may not even care where her data is sitting, as long as she's not getting too many annoying phone calls and having her credit rating hacked.
Yeah, I also think that just so they don't care, however, the GDPR in the EU is going to be a really, really big catalyst. So I do think that those blockchain projects that you see where you're actually safeguarding against those sanctions that are coming out of the EU, I mean, I think it's something like 10% of global turnover is the fine that you get if you are in violation of, basically misusing the data. So I do think that you will see, if you're speculating as an investor in the ad tech world or in the world of media and data, those that are safeguarding against those sanctions, I think would be interesting projects to look at. So you also had another comment about that?
Regarding the GDPR, this was actually one of the most tough challenge that we had, because we already had users and a lot of data. And we started in September last year to get compliant, and we are now almost full compliant with the GDPR. But regarding the ownership of the data, I think, and I agree as well, teenagers don't care. But if you tell a teenager that, okay, you don't care about your data, but you can make money out of your data, that this is where blockchain comes in and has the opportunity to offer advantages to anyone who opts in, if you're compliant with GDPR to sell your data. Also, an issue I see here regarding the ownership is storage on blockchain, because even if we want to believe that you can have all your data and content and videos and photos in a social network on blockchain, if you want to sacrifice the user's experience, you can do that, but I don't want to do that, so it's still an issue. That the technology has to evolve more in order to see how it scales, how you don't have for regular users transaction fees, because nobody will give 0.0001 for a like or for posting a content, even if it's cheap. And also it has to be fast, and there are no solution at the moment. Maybe with EOS or Cosmos we will see what happens, but there's no really palpable solution.
So you're talking about the way the blockchain is and the reactionary, how fast it can be, right, for these kind of apps and so forth. And for what we're doing is, ultimately, in the end, we'll have data and traffic data across the world. So, okay, is that better? So my company as a whole, we're going to have data, and a lot of data. And we have to determine what we're going to do with that data in the end. We're talking about advertising. We're talking about all these different aspects. And if I have traffic patterns for every ISP, or even just say half of them, you'll know what that data is going to look like. And if people don't care, which I think some do, some don't, and what we can do with that data, and the storage of that data, we have to determine what we're going to do with that data off-chain, because there's no way we can do it on-chain. That's what my point was, that all the data we're going to store is going to be off-chain. It has to be. Because on-chain, Ethereum, all these other can't handle it. There's no way.
So I just wanted to comment on that. I was watching a John McAfee interview some days ago, which was kind of funny because the guy was holding a gun next to his belt. But he said a very smart thing about data and the right for consumers to have it under control. When you're using services such as Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is that is from social media, these services are for free, but they're not for free. Basically, you're paying for them with your data. So you cannot expect, for these companies not to get that data and use it for their purposes. That's why I don't believe at all that data will go back into the hands of the end users and control. Yeah, it would crash this whole digital economy. Of course, this data needs to be used responsibly, and it needs to be used in a way that provides a more customized and relevant service for the customers. But the world that we knew before, in which you had full control of data, the talks that I've heard from some projects that they will take the data away from retailers and put it into the hands of consumers and all that, this is a myth and it will not happen, GDPR or not.
I'm going to switch gears and just quickly touch on, since this is an audience of investors, I want to talk a lot about the structure of these blockchain enterprise projects, the token generation events. Certainly something I've seen with my own clients is that we're putting equity, we're tokenizing equity, and creating security tokens, which I think very soon there'll be regulated exchanges where if you want to jump out of your early stage investment, perhaps you can just trade it on an exchange, which I think having that possibility of liquidity, sooner than 8 years down the line, I think is really attractive, right? So there's that model, and that's become more popular and will become more popular in the U.S. is the security token, as representing a piece of equity. So then there's also the model of creating this nonprofit foundation. Right? On the one hand, you do have to have a nonprofit foundation that helps to make this truly decentralized, right? Because you have a nonprofit that is not biased in any way and is not going to gain from, let's say, having there be a server on there. In media and ad tech, I think that's also really important. However, there's an issue with investors who invest in early stage companies in equity. And then all of the control, all of the marketing, all of the attention is then put on an entity that the investor doesn't own. So this is a real tricky issue. I've experienced it very often. And I advise my clients very strongly to be careful of that. So Jeff, you have some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I agree. I've seen it happen too, and I think the temptation or the model to create the nonprofit, it comes out of the instinct to say we're legit. We're not scammers. We're not offering you equity. This is non-diluting money, but we're not scammers. I promise. Look, we have a nonprofit. We're going to do good things. But from an investor point of view, if you're a speculator and you're a coin holder or a token holder, that's fine. It could drive up price on the token. But if you're trying to do more fundamental investing, if you've given a token, even if you end up with a security token, and all the value goes over to the nonprofit, that would always be a red flag for me. So again, speaking as an investor, we put shareholder money into our investments. We don't invest in ICOs directly. We take equity positions in companies that may ICO, and then we get a certain allocation as part of our stake. But yeah, if you're looking for red flags in the ICO world, if you're not looking just to speculate on the coin itself, watch out for that nonprofit model. It's supposed to give you confidence, but as an investor, it might not give you a whole lot of value back.
We've only got a couple minutes left, so does anybody else want to comment on the safe or palatable structure? Oh, were we going to do audience questions? Perfect, I love that. Okay, why don't we spend the time with that? Anybody have a question? You're just going to...
Can you elaborate more on this non-profit model? Because it's the first that I've actually heard of that. So what's that actually mean? That you set up a business as a not-for-profit, or?
You actually set up a separate entity that in some cases based on if you wanted to be a tax shelter, you would actually set up a nonprofit based in another country, like Zug, Switzerland, for instance.
Tezos did, right?
Tezos did that, yes. So you set up a nonprofit, and the original instinct was to set up the nonprofit because you can't have a commercial entity running a decentralized ecosystem. So there's a philosophy around that you basically are going to have the nonprofit decide how the funds are being distributed. So let's say you raise $20 million in an ICO, you're sitting on $20 million war chest. Do you want that war chest to be in the hands of a commercial entity, i.e. the two co-founders, basically, who could take that money and go sit on a beach? So that was the first instinct of why we would create a separate entity, separate nonprofit. I find a real issue in that because the original investors who have equity in the commercial entity have no control over this nonprofit. And technically, the $20 million was raised on the backs of the original funding and the original team.
But where's the IP sit?
So the IP sits in, that's a good question.
It could be open
It
source.
could be open source.
Could be everywhere.
Right, so the IP would sit in the actual decentralized ledger and could actually be given away. And in some cases, it would sit in the commercial entity, and there would be a licensing agreement between the nonprofit and the commercial entity.
I can see why investors don't like that.
I mean, it's incredibly common.
Yeah.
It's incredibly common. And I think all last year, that's what everybody was doing.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's why I bring it up, because I like to think that we've moved beyond that, but we need to come up with more safe models for the original investors. Anybody else have a question?
Hi, this question is for Mr. Koyen.
Oh, yeah.
Koyen?
Coin, like Bitcoin.
Okay.
Funny enough.
Fine. With all the increased equity investment into blockchain companies, much more than in the last 2 or 3 years, do you think that is a direct result of more regulation on ICOs, or do you think it's just a circumstance, sort of a coincidence?
I think it's an instinct to head off the regulatory matters that are coming in. Again, like, we're not going to put shareholder money into something that's unregulated, that could potentially fraudulent. We have fiduciary responsibilities. But also, I think it is a sea change. I think it is a way of saying, okay, we do accept that, and we're embracing blockchain and crypto as a technology of the future, the most defining technology in the next decade. How can we get in? And in our case, we don't want to just buy coins. We want to have fundamentals, company fundamentals. We want to see founders, roadmaps, P&Ls, and the only way to do that is through equity or debt investments. If they are going to launch a coin, great. That's hopefully more upside for us. But we, and I think a lot of companies out there, want to invest in the original fundamentals that got us all here in the first place.
Thank you.
Do you have an investment thesis that you're following, your team?
We have certain categories we're in, and we're just very early stage, and we like to take majority investments. We'll take some passive investments in exchange for nice allocations on the back end.
So when you say majority investments, that mean you want control of the entity?
Generally, yeah. The certain companies we have right now, we work closely with the founders and give them their money and let them run.
Anybody else? No? Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, can some of you talk about the marketing effort goes into marketing the platform and marketing the token?
Yeah.
Guys, can you repeat the question? Would you mind repeating the question so we can hear it? With the microphone?
I
Yeah.
launched one, so I can talk about that. So marketing is everything now. Once you have your structure in place and it's sound and you're, not going to go to jail. Once that's all set up, it's all marketing from there. And one piece too, I wanted to mention. Somebody mentioned Telegram here, and I think it's important for the investors here to understand what Telegram is and how important it is in terms of taking a look at, the social media. Excitement around a project, I think, is really important, because if you're going to do a public sale at any point in time, you're going to want there to be a strong following of the project, and you'll find that evidence on Telegram, which is an app that you can download and get in there and start looking, because there's a lot of underground chatting that's going on and a lot of momentum and speculation that happens in Telegram. So social media presence, an international social media team is what is required in order to really make these projects, to gain the level of buzz that you'll really need for the token to really jump up in value. And also the level of content marketing that you have to produce to make a project seem actually legit and viable is enormous. So I think people are not really understanding like how big that investment is in content generation and thought leadership. Medium.com is the place to go for information. The hits you get versus even getting a feature in Inc. magazine, for instance, is not going to be the same as the targeted eyeballs that you'll get on a really great thought leadership piece on Medium. So if you're investing in these projects, definitely check them out on Medium. Look at their Telegram following. It's super important. It's part of the due diligence process.
Okay, that's it. We're done. Thanks, guys.